Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Silicon Valley Innovation Center interview. I'm your host, Rahim Tula. And joining me today is Casper Tribler, the CEO and at Scio Plus. And Casper, welcome to the program. Great to have you with us. And we're talking today with you about the digital transformation of agriculture. So Casper, let's just start right there. Tell us about what is it that digital technologies, digital tools are making possible in the food production business, in agriculture. What are the new things now that they're letting farmers do that we haven't been able to do in the past?
Okay, so first of all, if you look at the studies available out there, latest one made by Harvard Business Review, and you look at the agriculture industry compared to other industries, you will see that this industry is actually the least digital of most others, where the most digital is the telecom industry, maybe not so surprisingly. So, I mean, there is a lot of opportunity in this industry of agriculture to create value by using data science, big data analytics. Most of the things that we see at the moment is related to, I would say, socioeconomic benefits. I mean, there's a lot of major opportunities that comes with the way the world is growing in population, and also the increasing buying power that will increase by 100% until 2050. But also the consumers change basically their behavior and also their requirements to, for example, the quality of the food that they eat. Of course, has to be fresh and healthy, but also, of course, requirements to using less medication. We all talk about antibiotics these days, but they're also concerned about the environment. What is water used for? To growing the feed for the animals, for example, or basically water consumption by the animals that we produce for protein consumption. Greenhouse gases. And so there's a lot of socioeconomic drivers that are pushing the industry to perform better, have to create more food for the human population. We're talking about maybe 70% more within 2050, but only by using 5% more land that we are using today. So these kind of challenges we're talking about here are, of course, opportunities for everyone to make more money, but it's definitely something that will require digitalization in the industry to solve and basically to get benefits of these opportunities.
Yeah, so and digital then can help you, yeah, like you say, to reach these high goals, to be able to produce more food and do it in a more sustainable way and an environmentally friendly way. It's obviously a very challenging prospects, but what are the digital tools then that we talk about? I read about ag tech, and a lot of the time I see, okay, robotics, maybe having autonomous tractors in the field, maybe having, a lot of Internet of Things enabled devices, a lot of sensors out there collecting data on what's going on, soil health, water levels, temperature, a lot about imagery, drones capturing a lot of imagery and then analyzing that. I mean, I'm just giving some examples here. Are those the sorts of things which you see as having an impact going forward?
Definitely. And what we also see is that within the agriculture business, you will find different maturity levels of digitalization. For example, looking at agriculture and crop harvesting, robots are already there, self-driven machineries, they're connected to satellites. So pretty much going into more advanced technologies, you have dairy, cow products, and there you deal with more fresh products. So they are very much far on analyzing basically the fresh and basically the quality of the milk. But then also you have industries like broiler or chicken production, pig and egg production for the table. And these industries are known for not being that specifically well digitalized yet. So you find various stages, but definitely there are great opportunity in the more advanced technologies. But more of what you see is that what we need to move into is at this stage is more into data collections, more into the big data part of getting access to good quality data. And because only after that you can start with the more advanced data science analytics on the data, and then you can create the solutions that add value. But then one thing that I think we don't talk enough about is to get to the level of getting these new technologies out there. There is a general lack of digital leadership in the agriculture industry compared to other industries, and digitalization is driven by people and not technology. And studies show that it has to come from the management level, and it doesn't often grow up from the ground. So, I mean, more investing into digital leadership is important for the agriculture business.
And I read one statistic, maybe this is related, which said that, generally speaking, when we look at the farming workforce, it tends to be an older workforce. And is that possibly tied in? And therefore, the argument of this particular report was that therefore digital skills, and perhaps this is also, digital leadership, was not particularly high. And they sort of related this to the idea of there being an older workforce. I mean, is that what you mean as well? Is that the people who are in farming now and agribusiness have been there for a long time, and they're not necessarily up to speed with all the changes?
Yeah, you see, I travel a lot in Asia, also Europe, Africa, and Middle East, and talk to major integrators and huge companies, and they the management level there are, and some of these are family-owned businesses, and they're very successful, making very good money. Digitalization is not very high on their priority list because they're actually doing quite well. But there are definitely challenges with the workforce, but you see, where the next generation comes in, they are much more willing to adapt to new technologies and basically take the benefits of what that can bring to the business to bring them to the next level. But that includes, of course, not only that the leadership gets the digital understanding, but they have to invest in their workforce and create the infrastructure to make data flow, but also make people think differently. That's definitely one of the main parts. But also, I mean, less talk, more action. They need to invest into big data analytics solutions, Internet of Things. I mean, having sensors out in the farm, building the infrastructure to collect the data, and build also the systems to analyze and bring forward what we call actionable insights. I mean, something that you can actually look at and will help you take the right decisions. So, but it starts with the management level, yes, and there are some generations changes going on in many of these old, also very successful companies.
And so, Casper, if we were to find a group of tech savvy entrepreneurs, part of this a newer generation, graduates from say Harvard Business School or somewhere like this, Berkeley, and they had all the they had all the tech and all the ideas, and then they built a digital farm, say today. I mean, is that going to look radically different from the farms that we have now? I mean, is it simply more robots, or how different would that look today if we really built from scratch a technologically digital first farm?
It would look dramatically different, because what I experience is there are many legacy houses out there, and also it has gone through basic generations of different technologies, so it's not very aligned, and it's basically very difficult to get a common big data analytics platform using this kind of infrastructure. So yes, first of all, I mean, it starts from building up the farm itself, having a very strong, robust data collection infrastructure, automated data collection, and of course, everything from feed weighers, water consumption, temperature, humidity, everything that basically tells you something about the environment that the animals are in. If we talk about chicken, pig, and cow production, for example. So the whole data collection part, of course, very, very important. But what I also see is that the industry in many places lack even for example, a cloud infrastructure to store the data, to analyze the data. It doesn't exist. You would be surprised how many that are running major businesses today in this industry just on Excel sheets, and it's actually quite common. And of course, the last part is I mean, you have to think about the end goal. You have to think about the user story. What pain are you trying to solve here for the client? So if I were having to face this kind of opportunity, and then I would always start with the end. What am I trying to solve here? The technology itself is not that important. You have to find out, first of all, where the value is for your client, and then you select the technology based on that. But definitely big data part, infrastructure important, the data science on top of that, and then you build the solutions to create those insights that are needed to create value.
Sure. And so when you say, you start from the end in a sense, from the value part that comes out. I mean, when you do that, when companies see, the value that it does create, that surely is that probably, that's the best argument for digitalization, is it not? That when they sort of see that the results, that the things that they can achieve, using these technologies, using these techniques, it's going to be hard for them to, go against that.
Absolutely, but what I also experience is that, I mean, it is of course about money. I mean, whatever they are willing to invest if they can get a good return on their investment. And honestly, they're not that interested in the technology part. But when you talk their language, and this is the most important part of digitalization and data science, that is the domain expertise and the business knowledge. When you meet the client on their terms, talk their language, and understand how to optimize their business, then you are a good step ahead to win the trust. And then you bring in the computer science, IT, and statistics, the mathematics skills after that to basically provide the solution that is needed to create that value. So yeah.
And when you have all that data, I mean, is it a given that you know what to do with it? I mean, is it all, is that the farmer, for example, is that your expertise then? Is that, because you have all this data which potentially you've never had before. So how do you even know what to optimize for, or which variable to adjust to get a better outcome? Is there a process there of trial and error, or how does it work?
Yeah. So first of all, we have hired specialists that understand how to basically grow chicken or pigs, or create good quality protein eggs. So they understand what the challenges are out in the real world. They first of all have a look at the data sets. Data quality, the volume, the velocity, the variety is a big challenge. So we spend quite a lot of time of our data science exploration and just going through data and sorting it out and make sense of it before we actually give it to the data scientists after that. So yeah, there is a process for it. But since we have the experience of understanding the client's business, we also know what kind of questions to raise. So let's say I want to predict the slaughter weight of a chicken, say 4 weeks before it goes to the slaughtery. We already have a number of parameters that we have identified that can help us predict such end value with a certain precision. So we will go in with the client and basically do some sort of consultancy selling. So we are in there, we are basically taking the client in the hand and say, okay, if you provide us with this data, we can more or less guarantee you this result. Just, follow us and we'll provide the solution for you. But it of course comes with a lot of hard work and experience in working with many clients. but definitely hiring the right people. Whenever you do these kind of data science projects, make sure one of the first people you hire is a domain expert, somebody that understands the business and don't necessarily understand data.
Very interesting. And Casper, on a sort of industry level, one thing I read about ag tech is that one of the difficulties, and going forward, especially this will be important, is to have interoperability in a number of ways. I mean, between legacy technologies and new technologies, because farming technologies don't get updated that often, so they need to be able to work together. But also, you talk a lot about using data and having to just sort it out, clean it up before you can actually start to analyze it. And it seems that the data that you get, it varies, everywhere. No, there isn't necessarily the platforms, the standards of data to work with, and that seems to be a challenge for the industry going forward.
It is a great challenge, and how can you? I mean, first of all, you will have to talk to the client, analyze what they have. They have ERP systems or different kind of sensor technology from very third-party providers. And then you start to have a look at what you're dealing with. And in most cases, you're able to somehow convert that information into our own internal data format and work with it. But in some cases as well, you just have to admit that this is not going to work. We have to actually put out a new mesh of data collection infrastructure. So we're also working with partners that has various controllers and IoT boxes that you can put up at the client sites, and then roll out new sensors that can then give you the data quality that you need when it comes to getting it fast enough to do the predictions that you need and get basically the variety in there and consistent data. It is a big challenge, and I see that you actually in some cases have to basically roll out a completely new type of data collection infrastructure.
And Casper, we're almost out of time, I think. So I think maybe we'll just wrap up on this one. So what is your feeling then? You say that in many ways agriculture is still not terribly mature, in terms of its digitalization. How long do you think it's going to take, or how do you see it happening where you get to that point where you do just have these, deep, rich historical data sets that you need that are going to be, going to enable you to make really good predictions, very quickly? It seems like, how far do you feel you are away from that?
It's going to take some time, and actually my career started in the telecom industry, so I'm used to a completely different level of digitalization. But there are different phases to go through. Right now, the industry is very much focused on analyzing the past and the present. What I mean by that is that you can get access to ERP systems and understand historically what has happened in the business and try to teach the client something about how they can optimize their business based on past performance. The present is also something that is opening up right now. So that is video, various kind of sound technologies, robotics that goes out there and collect data on living or current crops that are being produced. So you have a chance here now to do something to optimize the outcome of your current investment. But of course, as we go along, the industry will be more mature to look into the future, predicting basically what's going to happen, and even come up with suggestions how you can do things more efficient. But it's all about starting with collecting data, getting access to good quality data, and it will come. And I think one of the main arguments why we will see companies invest more in data infrastructure, and also third-party solution providers will go in and create common data exchange platforms and APIs from the retail segment. I mean, the big players in the industry like McDonald's and Target, they all want more transparency so they can, guarantee a good product for their clients. And I think we'll see it's already happening today, and we'll see it more and more that the consumers through the big retail companies, they will push the industry to get more digitalized.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you. That's very interesting, Casper. Very interesting insight, a little sneak preview, as it were, into where things are going today in ag tech. So that's, I think we'll have to leave it on that note, though. But thank you so much for joining us today on the program.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
And to our audience, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my interview today with Casper Tribler. Do remember, if you'd like to see more of our expert talks just like this one, you can do that at our website, siliconvalley.center. You can also find out there about the executive immersion programs we run. So if you'd like to find out more about the topics that I've discussed today with Casper, then do check out our website to find out where you can learn more. But I think for today, that's where we'll wrap things up. So just many thanks to my guest today, Casper Tribler, the CEO at Scio. And we'll see you again very soon. All right, goodbye.